Welcome to Real Talk with Reginald D. I'm your host, Reginald D. On today's episode, I have Pauline Jones. She goes by PJ and lives in Costa Rica. PJ has a podcast called Insights of a Survivor, has a coaching practice called Soulful Resilience Journey. Welcome to the show, PJ.
Hello, thank you, Mr. Reginald D. Thank you for having me on your show. I'm honored.
Well, thank you. Thank you. I've been looking forward to it. I'm really thank you for taking
Same.
time out of your busy schedule to chop it up for a little bit. So, PJ, tell me a little bit about yourself.
Well, I am, like you said, I have a podcast called Insights of a Survivor, and I also have a coaching practice called Soulful Resilience Journey. It's about healing from trauma because myself, I am a survivor of trauma. I had to endure, decades of abuse, starting with my mom, generational, of course. She was a victim turned abuser, trying to get out that situation because, again, as a child, you know that that's not right. So I ran away a lot from home and kind of put myself in even worse situations trying to survive, basically. And that's where I met my first husband, who preyed on my youth, preyed on my vulnerability and my innocence. He was 7 years older than me, so he was an adult. And for 12 years of my life, I was trapped in a very toxic, narcissistic, abusive, in every way you can see, relationship with this man. I always ran away. Even as a child, I ran from home. I tried to get away from my ex-husband. He found me, found our children, and I never gave up. I never gave up. I finally found my freedom. I finally found my way out of physical and emotional, mental abuse, but I didn't have a support system to teach me the tools I needed after I left the abuse. I was still dealing with the trauma, but I was out of abuse. A lot of people feel like once you're out of abuse, the trauma is over, but it's not. It's just the beginning. So I made a lot of mistakes partying, from the pillar to post, doing whatever I thought was right because now I'm free. I've been going through abuse from childhood to adult and I didn't know what to do. So in that time I made a lot of mistakes. I didn't seek therapy. I didn't I didn't have a right, a little friend circle. My friend circle was like, let's go party. You're free now. Instead of saying, let's get you and your children some therapy. Let's teach you guys. During that time, my oldest son, he was kind of more of the protector of our family. And towards the end of my struggle with my own self sabotaging, I lost my son. He got into a fight and tried to protect someone because seeing me be abused made him want to protect everybody he cared about. He ended up getting shot, him and his friend. And it was then when I realized just how badly I had let things go as far as not getting help for the trauma that I endured. And he was 19, and I didn't have one friend, not one. My mom, of course, who was my abuser. No one was there really to support me besides my current husband, my sister, and then my children, who shouldn't have needed to support me because I should be supporting them. They just lost their eldest brother, someone who was like a father to them for years. It was then when I decided it's time for me to change my circle, change my life, and look at why I'm still dealing with trauma, even though I'm no longer dealing with abuse. So the first thing I did, it was released my friend circle, which I probably should have got therapy first, but I was doing the best I could. So I kind of closed a lot of doors in my life. I started going to therapy. I started realizing that I was causing myself a lot of trauma with a lot of the decisions that I was making. Even though I was a good mom, I worked 2, 3 jobs. I was in college to get my degree. I had to go get my GED because in my relationship, he wouldn't let me go to school because, again, I was a minor. So I had to sneak to get my GED. But I got to go back to college online as a single mother, and I did what I could. Well, while my son passed, I thought I was doing everything right, but turns out I could have done things a lot better, And so that was when I realized that survivors, they need support even after the abuse is over. So that's what made me decide that I needed to start taking more of an approach on how to help. I thought working, getting my degree in, human services and my master's in business and going to work for the government would help, but no. They have too many rules, too many boundaries, and I wasn't allowed to help the way I thought I was going to. I wanted to be able to be more involved in their lives, but they have so many boundaries. That's what they call them, boundaries that you cannot cross. I wasn't allowed to be my authentic self, and I didn't feel I was helping them the way I could. So this year, 6 months in October, that I moved to Costa Rica. I became a certified life coach. I started Insights of a Survivor maybe 2 months ago, and this is where we are today. I'm kind of gung ho in teaching a lot of survivors how to manage life after abuse. And of course, reaching out to those who are still struggling with abuse, who may need a little bit of support getting out. October 1st is it is Breast Cancer Awareness Month, but it's also Domestic Violence Awareness Month. And I'm going really hard. I'm going to campaign about making people aware of domestic violence, because that's kind of what my journey is to teach, is to help grow and inspire. So that's kind of a little short rendition of who I am and what I'm doing and why I choose to do what I do.
Well, PJ, I must say you're a strong woman. I can't even imagine all the stuff you've been through. What kept you focused day in and day out, knowing that you're going through this kind of stuff? Because a lot of people get stuck in a situation, they feel like this is it and this is the only way I'm going to live and things like that. What kept you going? Because I know you probably was deflated most of the time, but you had to have some kind of inner something to say, just got to be more to this.
When I was a child, I have no idea, because again, my dad passed away when I was 11, which he was my mom's abuser. I left that little part out. My mom was 8 and he was in his 40s, so he's over 100 years old today. But when he passed away, I was 11, so I just knew that it wasn't right. I knew that there was something out there that I'm like, this is not the way love is supposed to feel. So I've always been the type of person who was really strong-willed. I didn't allow myself to fail. Everything that my family called me the black sheep or the rebel. So when you tell me I'm going to fail, I'm going to show you I'm going to succeed. When you tell me I'm nothing, I'm going to show you that I'm something. So that's kind of what got me along as a child. When I was older, I started having children. I got pregnant with my older son when I was 17 by my first husband, and my family is very spiritual. My father was a preacher, actually. I grew up in his church. So my grandmother was a minister. So they're like, you can't have a bastard child. So they forced me to marry my ex-husband because, okay, so I got pregnant with my son. Do I want my son to see all of this abuse? No, but that's when I started to try to run from him. My second son come again. I don't want to see this, because he wasn't abusing children yet. And then I had a daughter. I said, okay, this man is known to touch little girls. This man is known to touch little girls and his family. So that kind of pushed the fire under me. Well, I'm not going to let him touch her. And then I found out when I was working, because of course my abuser did not work. I worked, I cooked, I cleaned, I worked, I took care of the kids. It was all me. When I was at work, I found out that he was starting to abuse my older son. He was beating on him. That was what made me say, okay, no more. But it was more my kids as an adult that made me see that this was not a life I wanted for them. The abuse that I went through, the trauma that I went through, they will not see a drop of it. So that was kind of my goal. So it was just different throughout my life, as a child, to show you guys, oh, you're wrong about me. And as an adult, no, my children would not go through what I had to go through. And even though my son did endure a little bit of it, it was not, I caught it in time to save him from what I had to deal with throughout my life.
Well, I like the way you put it when you said, when you called them your abuser. You kind of tell it like it really is. I think a lot of times in life, people, they don't face the truth about what's really what. And that's the reason they stay in situations way longer than they should be and things like that. So I like the way you put that. Let's talk about the coaching practice that's called Soulful Resilience. Can you explain what Soulful Resilience means to you?
Soulful resilience is basically like when you are in an abusive relationship, to me, it's like trying to dim your light. Your soul is that light inside of you that shines bright, that makes it feeds your energy, it feeds you and your essence of who you are. And when you are abused, it's like they're trying to dim your light. And resilience is because of that. I named that after me personally, because I had to have been resilient to be able to go through that. And I want to use my soulful resilience to help those who are on their journey and their path to enlightenment, and help them shine that light inside of them, reactivate their soul so that they can grow and be the person that they were meant to be. So that's kind of where I got that from. And what it means to me is to help. It means to help show everyone that their soul is also just as resilient as mine. We're all survivors. To go through trauma, you have to be resilient. That is not an easy thing to live through.
Definitely not. And one thing about you and I think we got a lot in common. I come from a very religious family. The only one in my mom's side of the family that was born out of wedlock. So I was that bastard child was saying I'll never mount anything and stuff like that. It's just crazy, man. But when you talk about resilience and things like that, and then you get through life and you go through all the stuff you've been through. I've been through things myself. And once you get there and get through it, then something changes with you, with us or whatever. What ignited you once you started going through and getting through all the stuff you've been through and started having all these amazing accomplishments? What ignited your passion to say, hey, I'm going to start helping others and build resilience and healing to them?
It was the person that helped me. I'm going to say maybe 2 years ago, it got to the point where I tried to take my own life. My husband had to stop me, had to take the gun out of my hand. I was so depressed. I'm on antidepressant. I'm on anxiety medication. And I hate my job. I hate my life. And Dr. Robin Chambers, I will never forget this woman. She, I called her. She was someone I met. I kind of, she did an assessment on me once, but I kind of felt a little connection to her. And when I told her my story, she was like, no, you're not. You are a survivor and your story is worth telling. And she kind of explained to me how many lives that I can save. I've always wanted to help people. I've always been in the field of human services. I worked for CPS. I worked in homeless shelters. I've always had that passion to help just because I didn't want anyone to feel as alone as I felt when I was being abused. But she was the one that put it in a way to me, to telling me, like, this story happened to you so that you could save another life. These journeys are not here to, it's like everyone says, why am I going through this? She expressed to me and explained to me the reason why I went through this was because it was my responsibility to help. I'm not saying that everyone who's going through trauma, it's their job to, but she explained it to me in a way like, how if someone who went through what you went through would have got you at your infancy of trauma, how would you be? What kind of woman would you be today? Would you have made those same decisions? So she put it in a way like, okay, if I get to someone right at their infancy of being released from abuse into trauma, how can I help change their narrative and their story? Can I help them prevent them from causing actions that will, like my son? I should have put my son in therapy. If someone was there in my infancy, I'm not blaming myself, I'm past that, but I am still hurt about that. If someone was there to help me understand what I was supposed to do in the beginning stages of me leaving trauma, I would have saved myself a lot more heartache. I mean, if it was meant for someone to go, it's meant for them to go, but I could have probably helped prevent him a lot of pain and help him understand what he was dealing with instead of me going out doing what I was doing. So I want to be that person to say, hey, you're just free from trauma. If I can't help you, let me, for maybe Mr. Reginald D can help you. Maybe someone else can help you. She told me that we are a community of survivors, and this is our job to help each other, guide each other through. It does not take a community just to raise a child. It takes a community to heal and grow.
Exactly, exactly. But it's that's amazing. So, what are some of the most common struggles you experience that you've or guests have basically shared with you, and how did that resonate with your journey?
Everybody I've ever spoken to, and then also it's the doubt. It's the I can't. It's the days that you feel like you are worthless, because going through any type of trauma, even if it's just one time, women who have been raped one time, that sense of self-worth is just gone. Even then, I mean, I'm a firm believer in we're not the only ones that are abused. I have 4 degrees and I still feel like I haven't accomplished anything because my sense of self-worth was so low that I didn't think that I could. Even everything that I'm doing now, I still feel like I need to do more. So that's kind of what I struggle with even today. I feel like I'm not worthy of anything. And I'm working on that. It's getting better every day. Now I'm better than I was yesterday or the day before. But that's definitely what I have heard a lot of my guests on my podcast say, that it's just like, do I deserve to be happy? It's imposter syndrome. We're afraid to be successful. And that's what I have to learn how to get over. And that's what I'm learning. This journey actually is helping me still on my journey, learn how to see my self-worth.
Exactly. So, what kind of practices do you offer to help people like navigate through life challenges with resilience?
Well, the one I talk about the most is an NLP neuro linguistics program. I'm certified in the NLP. And the version where this understandable is it changes the victim mentality into the survivor mentality. It's like my journey was for a reason, not just because of who I am, but because of what my purpose is. It stops you from I'm trying to, there's, because the way my husband tells me I always talk like I have a 15 degrees. So I'm trying to say it in ways that can kind of make people understand. But that's kind of what it is. On the NLP, it just changes your thought process. And I'm also really big on holistics. I do a lot of meditating. I do a lot of breath work. I do a lot of journaling, and I'm also big on my spirituality has changed. I grew up in church, but I believe in all types of, so I do a lot of crystal healing. So that's kind of what I incorporate in my life. And I do that with my practice as well. But Neurolinguistics programming is my biggest, because I do believe if we change the way we think, if we change the way we feel, we could change the way we feel, because it's the mind, body, and spirit that all is connected. So we have to change our mind before we could change our spirit, and then the body will follow.
That's it. Like I tell people, if you don't change your mind, nothing's going to change. I don't care how you look at it. You won't change, you got to change. But that's very amazing. So can you tell me a success story with someone who was truly transformed through your coaching methods?
Well, I don't have any, I'm still kind of in the infancy of it. So I don't have anyone who's completed yet, but I've been working in this field for 10, 15 years. So I've done a lot of work with people who I've kind of put practices in with them. So most of them will be more of my clients. I still talk to some of them, even though the government tell me I shouldn't, but I've had kids coming to me on drugs. Yeah, I know I should. On drugs with nothing. I mean, I have one young lady I talked to, she just texted me last week. She has a job at a bank. She has her 2 children in the home with her. She keeps up with me on a regular basis. But when I met her, I mean, every word that came out of her mouth was a cuss word. She'll cuss your mama out, your daddy out. She was in the homeless shelter. Her mom passed away. She would fight you like it's no tomorrow. And I had to teach her how to kind of center herself and change the way she thought, because she thought everybody was out to get her. Of course, you're in CPS custody. You've gone through a lot of abuse. And it took about 2 years of me working with her, helping her, teaching her, asking her why does she feel the way she feels, having her address her concerns, holding her accountable, because I'm really big on accountability too, because not everything that happens to us is someone else's fault. So I had to change the way she thought about the world so that she can focus on changing herself into a better person. And now she's, how old is she? Like 24, 25. And again, she works at a bank. She has her 2 children with her. She still has that mouth. We're working on that mouth, but she's very successful. I have like 2 or 3 of my youth, a few of my clients through other programs. Again, I keep in contact with my people because I feel like their journey does not stop when they're done with me. And I keep up with how they're doing. There's a few of them. Another one, she was addicted to drugs. She was really, really bad. Her daughter had found her in the bathroom, overdosed. She lost her daughter to CPS custody. I was a CPS worker at the time. That's how I met her. And we just kind of clicked. And I worked with her outside of the state when I quit my job and started working with her personally to kind of help her rebuild her life. Now, hers is not, because I'm telling you this story because not every story is a success story. She did good for about a year. She relapsed. I tried to reach out. And her addiction was stronger than her desire to get better. She did eventually lose her daughter. I say that to say that, like I said, not everybody's going to succeed. I have one who, again, I talked to her last week. She's having a 3rd baby by the same guy. You know, they've been together off and on for actually since she was my youth. And I talked to him too, because he had the same mouth she did, but they're getting their lives together. They're working together, and they are so, I mean, to see them makes me happy, even though they still yell at each other. I just laugh at them because where they were before, when I first met her, she was hitting them with the car she stole from his grandma. And now their biggest concern is, she wants to go to sleep and he didn't clean the kitchen. So those are the stories that I have so many like that I can share, that makes me proud of what I do. And that's what made me see that this was the field I needed to be in.
So you get it, PJ. You get it. See, people don't understand a lot of times. People don't give up if you don't give up. A lot of people make it through life because somebody wouldn't give up on them. Even though they was giving up on themselves, it's that one person that they knew that had the faith and kept pushing and saying, man, I'm not going to give up on you. And all of a sudden it clicked.
Right.
If you just say, hey, he gonna do what he want to do, or she gonna do what she want to do, and you just kind of back away from it. A lot of people selfish just say, I don't have time for this, and I don't have time for that. Well, you have time for a lot.
Right.
I don't care what it is. I don't care. You're not too busy for somebody's life.
Right. And that is kind of my thing. The one who did get away, she ended up running for me because I'll call you. I'm not gonna stalk you now, but I will keep up. Hey, what's going on? Once a week, I will try to, I'm right here. I'll let you know that I am still right here. Even, the young lady that did end up going, she's very much welcome too. My doors are going to always be open. So a lot of us feel like we have no one who cares about us, and they need to know that it just takes one person to make me feel like I was worthy enough. And that was like my doctor. She still texts me today. She'll email me and check up on me So yes, I very much agree. Just takes that one person and lets you know, I'm going to be in your face too, but we're going to get this right. And that person is me. I will be in your face because we will get this right.
And like I said, a lot of people think they're doing the right thing, but they're condemning people and things like that. You're never going to help anybody by condemning
Mm-hmm.
them. They already know they messed up. They already
No.
know they got issues, things like that. You have to have grace,
Mm-hmm.
just like God has grace to us. We ain't always perfect, but He makes sure we don't mess
Right.
it up that bad. Well, we should have got what we really what we really put out there, but His grace was sufficient
Right.
enough to save us through some of the decisions that we
Right.
made in life. So everybody deserves grace and not condemnation about everything, being condemned about stuff like that, man, because that really will tear a person down when you do things like that.
It really will. It really will. Because when I felt alone is when I did the worst. I'm gonna say that when I felt like I had nobody, that's when I sabotaged my life. Again, I never let anything affect my kids, but yeah, if you don't have anyone to tell you what's right, to kind of hold you accountable, because again, I'm really big on accountability and to show you you're better than this. You're better than this. You don't have to go through that.
Yeah, exactly, exactly. I got a generation of pastors and preachers all throughout my family, but at the end of the day, I call myself I'm kingdom. I'm not Baptist. I'm not holiness. I'm kingdom. I do kingdom work.
Right.
That's what I do. So, and that's where I relate myself to.
Right. Right. I mean, did I not tell you my father was a pastor and he was my mom's biggest abuser? I mean, she was 8 again, and I think he was in his 40s. Like my mom's 65. How old am I? 65 years old. My dad was born in 1913. And he was the biggest preacher in our area. Like he was well known, well loved. Yes, yes. So, and my grandmother, she knew what was going on, and she was one of the biggest evangelists in the world. And well known, well loved. They were loving to me. Let me put that out there. I was never abused by them. They actually showed me the love my mother never did. So when I found out that he was the one that did all of this, it was really confusing and conflicting for me, because to me, he was a man of God. He was a strong man of God, and he would never do this. So when I found that out, oh my goodness. And I was young, so I didn't know how to do the math and know, okay, yeah, he is a bit older than my mom. And he also has a wife, my stepmom. So I was too young to put it all together. But I really agree with the religion. I believe in God. I don't believe in church. I will say that. Whoever feels like they have to get their love from the church, that's completely your journey. But from my experience, I choose to just, like you say, I'm kingdom.
And it's a lot better doing it that way. That because it's kind of personal to you when you walk that
Right.
way instead of trying to be in a group or organization that's doing things that could be doing the right things. But a lot of times I found out that a lot of people get in an organization or a church or whatever, and they are appointed to do something that is needed to do and not what God has meant for them to do for their calling and their purpose in.
Hmm.
And they stay in this church for years and years and years and never walked in their true purpose and their true gift because they're assigned to be this, they're assigned to be on the choir, and then they just try to
Hmm.
be obedient and say, hey, I'm trying to help everybody. I'm trying to help the church. I'm gonna be an usher. They need an usher today. Okay, I'm gonna be an usher. But at the end of the day, it's
Right.
on you and your purpose that God got for you. So I'm not doing this. I'm
Hmm.
not doing that. I've been asked to play the bass in church and play the instrument. I said, no, I'm not doing that. I'm not getting in no music because that's not my purpose. Y'all have me up here every Sunday playing this stuff. I'm not doing it. So you
Right.
understand your calling, man, and just like I say, walking kingdom business. That way you can do it your way.
Exactly.
So PJ, what do you envision for the future of Insights of Survivor and your coaching practice?
What I envision is reaching a lot of survivors, reaching a lot of advocates. It's kind of been going a little faster than I expected. Like I said, I started it in July, and I've already been touching so many people. Like that's kind of my goal. And I plan on in the near future hosting a retreat for empowerment for women here in Costa Rica. I'm working on that now. For my coaching practice, again, all of that's going to be incorporated because it's just me. So it's going to be a Soulful Resilience Women's Empowerment Retreat that I'm going to be having down here. It's not set in stone. I'm hoping for next June, but it's just basically to kind of empower the community of survivors and reach as many voices to stop the silence of domestic violence, because we're taught to keep that in when we should be speaking out against abuse. If someone is being beat on the street, they're not going to stop and say, hey, that's not our business. They're going to go help. So then those of us that are being abused in our homes, we need to speak out so that we can get the same type of help. So that's kind of what I envision for both my practice and my podcast, is to give the survivors a voice, to not feel ashamed about what happened to them, to be able to be proud to speak out about the fact that they survived. There's a TV show, I Survived. I feel like we should be on those shows too, because we survived, so that's kind of where I envision, is to just give everybody strength, hope, and empowerment.
That's awesome. And I'm telling you right now, listening to you, you'll get it done.
I really am. I'm not going to give myself any excuses. I'm going to get it done.
Awesome. So what would you say to someone right now that's about to give up on life because they're going through a bunch of turmoil and things like that they didn't bring upon themselves, but they feel like they're guilty and they feel like they have done something wrong. And at the end of the day, you have people out there just abusers and hurting you and things like that. And all you try to do was what was right, or you got put into a position that you've been abused and not feeling bad about themselves and ready to give up on life. What would you say to somebody like that?
I would tell them to make to the end of that day. Get to the end of that day, wake up the next day, and find one thing about yourself that just a little bit of strength to get you out of that situation. Each day, just try to grow even more and more, because it's not going to happen overnight. I had a guest tell me it took her 5 years to leave a relationship, but just make it to the end of the day. Don't give up on yourself. Understand that for you to have gone through what you have been going through for as long as you have, you are a strength. It's not that you are strong, you are strength, and you can do it. Don't give up on yourself, because I won't give up on you.
Wow. I really like that. You are strength. Yeah, if you could take that word with you every day when you wake up, you should be able to make it through the day.
Yes. And it's not easy. I get it. Seeing people who have overcome trauma and, we look like we have it all together. I go to sleep all the time and sometimes wake up with nightmares from things that's happened to me. And it never ends. It never ends. So to say it's going to end because you see me sitting here smiling, today I'm genuinely good, but tomorrow might not be that great. So just understand that a part of the journey is pain. Pain. There's no such thing as a journey that's easy. Your journey is going to be painful. But again, you take that journey, you are strength, and you will make it. You just have to tell yourself that every day, every single day.
And sometimes, you got to choose a smile. Regardless of what you're going through in life,
Yes.
sometimes you just got to choose a smile.
I do. Even when I was in my abuse, I had the biggest smile. This smile has been on my face my entire life. And I think I do it to make myself feel the way I should feel. Because if I'm walking around sad, it's like who you are is who you're going to reflect. So I'm going to reflect happiness. I'm going to reflect confidence. And I'm going to reflect. It's called fake it till you make it. And I'm going to put this smile on till that smile is real.
That's it. So lastly, PJ, how can people find your podcast and coaching program and follow you on social media?
Okay, my podcast is on Spotify at Insights of a Survivor. You can find me on Facebook at PJ Jones, Insights of a Survivor on Instagram. And I have a YouTube channel called Empowering Voices for Survivors. I have a website, but I'm revamping it. It's not ready yet. But what I can do is I can send it to you. But it was PJ at Soulful Resilience Journey site, I believe. No, that's my email address. You can reach me at PJ at Soulful Resilience Journey site. And there I will reach out to you and make sure you have the information for my website so that I can get you, booked on a coaching journey if that's what you want to do. But if you just need someone to talk to, PJ at Soulful Resilience Journey site, and I will make it happen. We will figure something out. I'll help you find what's best suited for you.
There you have it. There you have it, everybody. PJ, thank you so much for coming on to the show. I really love your spirit, and we have so much in common, man. God, it's crazy.
I appreciate the offer. I love the opportunity. You're like my fourth interview that I've done. And so thank you for allowing me to share my story.
Most definitely. We're definitely going to bring you back on as things progress in your life and things like that. We'll keep up with PJ.
Thank you. And I look forward to having you on my show. I know that you have a lot of knowledge to share. I can just see it.
We're going to have a blast. I can't wait. October 11th, I think it is. Isn't it something like that? So, well, PJ, I appreciate it so much.
Thank
God
you.
bless you in
Thank
your
you so
journey,
much.
and the things you're doing is so amazing. So God
Same,
bless you. And
same.
I would definitely be praying for your strength, your focus, everything that's going to take to get things done.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Mr. Reginald D. And you have a blessed day.
You do the same. Thanks for tuning in, Real Talk Reginald D. If you enjoyed listening to Real Talk Reginald D, please rate and review on Apple Podcasts. See you next time.